Hey adventurers, this is Mark and welcome to Adventure Pass. Today is Throwback Thursday and I thought, man, there's no better subject to talk about this week and especially for Throwback Thursday than to talk about Disneyland's lost people mover and if it could finally return. There's some Disneyland attractions that disappear and they fade into memory. And then there's attractions that disappear but absolutely refuse to let go. And Disney fans have made that clear this week. Could the People Mover return now that there wasn't an announcement for a complete upgrade and a reimagination of Tomorrowland? And with Tomorrowland now being a very popular topic, especially right after the announcement was made at D23, the conversation is just it's getting crazier and crazier. With Tomorrowland once again being part of the conversation, this might be the perfect time to look back at what made the People Mover so special, why Disneyland got rid of it, and what happened when Disney tried to replace it, and why those empty tracks are still sitting above Tomorrowland today. So today, for Throwback Thursday, we're going to head back to one of the most ambitious eras in Disneyland history, and that is the Tomorrowland of 1967. And to understand the People Mover, you have to understand Disneyland's Tomorrowland and what it was supposed to represent. Tomorrowland was the biggest concept for Disney. Um, this this was a land that was supposed to make everybody feel very optimistic about the future. This was a version of the future where tech could make life easier, where transportation could become cleaner and more efficient, and new ideas could completely change the way cities worked. And one of its signature attractions was the People Mover. And the People Mover traveled high above the ground on an elevated track, and it carried guests through Tomorrowland in small open air vehicles. Um, it was a very relaxing type of attraction. You could sit back, you could look across Disneyland, travel through Tomorrowland, and experience the land from a completely different perspective. But there was also something much bigger behind the attraction. Walt, he saw it as real transportation. That's right. The People Mover wasn't just supposed to be a theme park ride. The technology represented an idea that the People Mover transit system could work in real cities. And Walt was fascinated by transportation, right? As you know, we had the monorails and moving walkways. These weren't just simple attractions to him, they were examples of how people might move around the communities in our near future. And that connection became even more important when Walt began developing his ideas for Epcot. The original Epcot concept was going to be an actual experimental city and also a transportation system uh, would have played a major role in it. So when guests rode the People Mover, they were essentially getting a small demonstration of an idea that Disney believed could exist beyond the parks. This makes the attraction even more interesting today. It was entertainment, but it was a piece of Disney futurism, and fans loved it. Um, it's one of my most favorite attractions growing up as a kid that I can remember. I loved going on the People Mover. Um, I always remember when I'd get really tired in the day, I wanted to go on the People Mover. I just wanted to sit, relax, and just look around and look at Disney and look below and just take it all in. And yeah, it was just a fun, relaxing ride. And this is the kind of attraction that is very useful in a theme park because it just gives something for people to do at any time during the day. And I think that's really, really important. But despite all of that, you know, by the 1990s, Disney's Tomorrowland was starting to feel a little bit uh, dated, dated out. And Disney wanted something new. So the People Mover closed, right? In 1995. Yeah, the People Mover closed. And nearly after 3 decades of operation, the attraction was eventually gone. But Disney didn't remove the elevated track. Instead, the company had another idea. And then Tomorrowland was about to receive that major redesign, and Disney decided to transform the People Mover into something completely different, something faster and louder, if you remember. And that attraction, right, was called the Rocket Rods. And this is where things start to get even more interesting. So when the Rocket Rods took over in 1998, they decided to use these high-speed vehicles that accelerated along the portions of the former People Mover track. On paper, it sounded like it was an exciting uh, evolution or upgrade, right? But take the old transportation attraction and turn it into a futuristic thrill ride. But there was a problem with that. The original People Mover track was never designed for that kind of attraction. Rocket rods had to repeatedly accelerate, slow down because the track didn't have the bank turns that you would normally see on high speed attractions. The experience, right? It was rough on the vehicles and the ride system, uh, and it did develop a reputation for a lot of downtime, if you recall. But just years after opening, it closed. By 2001, rocket rods were gone. And suddenly now you have this empty track above Tomorrowland. And this might be the most unusual part of Disneyland history. Um, Disneyland guests can still look up above in Tomorrowland when you're walking and you can see portions of the old People Mover route. It kind of feels like a ghost attraction. The structure is still woven into the architecture of the land. You can see the vehicles once traveled above guests. And for longtime Disney fans, those tracks constantly raise the same question. Why not just bring the People Mover back? And unfortunately, it probably isn't as simple as placing new vehicles on the existing track. You've got modern systems, safety requirements. It's really difficult to bring back an attraction like that. It's complicated and it takes a lot of time. Um, it would probably it would it would probably require a complete major reconstruction. Uh, I would even say a new ride system. But that hasn't stopped fans from wanting it. And now, why does that People Mover conversation keep coming up? Because every time Disney announces a change for Tomorrowland, the People Mover speculation returns. And it makes sense because of its popularity. Um, this People Mover concept, though, is different. A quiet transportation system moving continuously above the land still feels futuristic and it would work, it would fit. Uh, it's perfect, actually. Disney wouldn't need to recreate the exact 1967 attraction. They can build a modern version of it with everything new, with the vehicles, the system, etc. So, could it actually return? So, this is the big question, right? Can the People Mover come back? This is what we all want to know. So, right now, there's no guarantee. It hasn't been announced. They've talked about the future of Tomorrowland multiple times over the years, and just recently at D23. And right, we just can't learn to assume that every idea will become the finished attraction. But the fact that the People Mover continues to generate so much enthusiasm is important because Disney knows how important this attraction is to the fans, to all of us. Um, and I think, yeah, I think Disney will make a decision. And I think, as people, as fans, we can influence that decision. I believe in, in some way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, right, we just don't know if that's going to happen. But the possibility is there. Um, I love the People Mover personally. I think it's a fantastic attraction. Do I think Disney should bring back the People Mover, or do I think they should do something completely new? I'm going to say bring back the People Mover. Um, it's an iconic representation of Tomorrowland. And I just think it'll make many, many fans and guests extremely happy if that attraction comes back. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you wanting People Mover to return when that reimagination of Tomorrowland happens, or are you looking for a completely new attraction and a new direction for Tomorrowland? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, like, and give me that comment. I want to hear from you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and we will catch you on the next adventure. Talk to you later and have a great one. Bye for now.